Hey everybody, welcome to this pick a card reading, and I don't normally start my videos out like this, but if you want to skip ahead to look more closely at the 6 options, they're going to be the same as the 6 gemstones that you saw in the thumbnail photo, but you can skip ahead to that. But because we're in such interesting times, I did want to talk to you all a little bit as well, and also talk about all these wonderful things that I've gotten recently. But yeah, the world is just different, isn't it? I went on hiatus 2 months ago. For those of you who are familiar with me, you probably already knew that. If you're new to my channel or just, happen to watch every now and then, you might not know, but I took a 2-month hiatus starting at the beginning of February. And now I'm back and the world is completely different. I thought that I was going to be significantly different. Yeah. And I am, I definitely have been able to do a lot of soul work and really, just spend more time journaling and doing doing yoga. Hey, somebody's, everyone deserves love. But no, doing some yoga, getting more into yoga and meditation and stuff like that, that I just, the kind of stuff that is good for you. Also, ironically, I was starting to, try to cook more at home and bake and stuff, and now that's what everybody's doing. I've got my container of yeast, by God, and I've got my flour. I've got a little bit of sugar. I don't have a lot of sugar left, but yeah, so I was already starting to cook more, so it really kind of prepared me for when we went into quarantine, it's been about 2 weeks now here in Kentucky, which is where I live in the United States, and other places have been quarantined or locked down longer than that, of course. And so I want to send out all of my love and kind thoughts to everyone across the globe who's dealing with this, but especially people who are having an extra difficult time with it. Let's pray for and uplift our healthcare workers. If you know how to sew masks, a lot of hospitals are asking people to do that right now. It may not be as good of a protection as, something that's made to be a mask, but from what I've read online, there are certain fabrics that will protect you from 50% of possible particles or whatever they're called. Whereas one of those N95 masks that everyone talks about, I think they keep you from 95% or something. So 50 versus 95, but 50% is still better than 0%. So yeah, I think, collectively we're seeing what a lot of those silver linings are in the way that people are coming together and doing things like that for other people. The way that people are showing up, even if it has to be online, and being innovative, doing things differently, like some of the late night shows are putting their shows on from home, for example. And just, it's a different show, but it's we'll jump off and hope that we land on our feet. And I actually personally think I like Jimmy Fallon's show at home better. And you get it's it's this time, it's it's pulling us apart, but at the same time, I feel like in a way we're getting to know each other better somehow. Because who we are at home, who we are in the comfort and security of our home, isn't that really who we really are more than anything else? So I think it's just very interesting. It's not a time to put your dreams aside. I think it's a time to kind of, again, be innovative, this came up in one of the readings. I won't tell you which number, which I've already recorded a couple of the readings for this video, but yeah, allow yourself to be curious, what can I do with this particular dream of goal of mine? There are obstacles blocking certain directions that I could go in right now. Obviously, anything that involves being in a group of people is gonna be cut off to you at the moment. But what else can you do? How can you innovate and get around that? So yeah, in this pick a card, we're going to be talking about, for you personally, what are your personal silver linings and spiritual lessons. I think we're all learning spiritual lessons. We're learning how to have hope. We're learning how to let go of fear and anxiety. Like, who hasn't felt fearful or anxious at some point during all of this? The unknown and the unpredictable are very scary to us. As humans, we don't like that. We like to know what's going to happen, which is why people turn to tarot so often. They like to know. People want to be in the know. And the thing is, we can't know everything for certain, but I think we're learning a lot about who we are, through this process, individually and collectively. And so I also just want to point out, I have a huge stack here. You can see this isn't even all of what I've received recently, but recently I created a newsletter, which is going to come out quarterly, 4 times per year at each of the solstices and equinoxes. So this, I had one come out at the spring equinox, and every newsletter is going to include 3 things. It's going to include some kind of wisdom in this most recent edition, which there should be a link to that down below if you want to look at the spring edition of the newsletter. The wisdom portion of it talks about the coronavirus and what my guides have said to me when I've asked them specific questions about what this is all about. And so if you want, it's very consoling and uplifting as well. So if you've been a little bit scared, you might want to read that. So wisdom will be in all of those newsletters, also discounts. And for this one, the discount was if you buy anything off of my wish list, a deck or anything, then you can get a reading in exchange. Now that was good until April 1st, and I'm posting this video on April 1st. So that discount is not available to you anymore, but I may give discounts like that in the future, which is, like a deck that costs like $15 or $11. Some of these were like, that's a very significant discount off of what a normal reading is. My average reading is probably about $80. Some of them are considerably more than that. So there's that, and all of the newsletters as well will include freebies, and I'm excited about the freebie that I put in this newsletter. I made 3 art posters celebrating Earth Day, which is coming up at the end of April. I want to say it's like April 20th, but that's a different holiday, also one that I'll probably be celebrating. But I think Earth Day might be April 26th or 24th. Google it. But anyway, so you can print these off, and they're they're created so that you could frame them in an 8x10 frame, or if you wanted to just put them up on your wall or your cubicle or whatever, if you're still going to a cubicle right now, or put them up on your bedroom wall, or on the fridge or whatever, just to remind you to celebrate Earth Day, or to be showing your love for Mother Earth. And if you wanted as well to save paper, you could also just put it as maybe a wallpaper image on your computer or something like that. So anyway, if you wanted to sign up for the newsletter, I encourage you to do so, because wisdom, freebies, and discounts 4 times a year. I'm not going to be flooding your inbox, but it's good stuff. So you can just easily sign up. The link to that as well as is below in the description box. And I also want to thank Marta. Marta got me this pink marble backdrop, which is so pretty, and I redecorated my reading space for spring. Some of my other videos I've already recorded during the last couple months that'll be showing up later on. They will not have this because I will not have put it up yet. I just actually put it up today, even though she got it for me a while back. So thank you so much, Marta. She was probably like, oh my God, she's not using that backdrop that I got for her, but I am using it now. I'm just lazy. I'm a procrastinator, but I think it's really perfect for spring, so the timing is probably what it needed to be. And in terms of this is not everything that I've gotten off of my wish list. I am also going to pretty soon do a wish list haul video and give some shout outs and thank yous to everyone who sent me things, whether you did it so that you could get a reading or not. Or if you just donated because you wanted to out of the kindness of your heart, I just really appreciate it. So that's that. I think that's everything. let's get into the readings. Here are your options. Welcome to everybody who chose reading number 1, which was the Amazonite. Such a pretty stone. What does this say? Speak from your heart. Well, this goes along very well with the other cards, and we have other cards that I'm going to pull out as well, but I wanted to kind of pull them out in groupings and get kind of like an idea from each grouping of what was going on with you guys. So for you all who chose reading number 1, I feel like you're really manifesting in regards to your love life. You're manifesting the right person for you because you are thinking more highly of yourself. You are really recognizing that you don't need to be desperate. And so you're going to find someone who really can take you as you are. Which doesn't mean, finding someone who loves you unconditionally doesn't mean that you take advantage of that. It just means, wow, it's really nice that, you're going to keep loving me even if I have things that you might not always like about me. So we have Speak Your Mind here as well from the Speak From Your Heart and Speak Your Mind. And also Starseed and then Rebellion. So also it's time to reveal your radiant light to the world. I feel like you guys have a way of speaking and presenting yourself where maybe in previous romantic relationships or situationships or crushes or whatever, you felt like you had to hold back part of your true self. And maybe it was about the words that you spoke or what you talked about. Maybe it was just your lifestyle, what you chose to do with your life. And I feel like you're drawing to you people who are going to accept everything about you. So you don't have to dim your light. You don't have to pretend to be what someone else thinks is comfortable for them, right? And again, that doesn't mean that you don't, care about being nice to the person you're dating or in a relationship with or whatever. It just means you also love yourself enough to continue to be true with yourself. And I think in particular, this might be a multi-lifetime struggle that you've had where you are really letting go of some past life karma right now and allowing yourself to be this unique, rebellious individual who's shining their light because you realize that's exactly what the world needs. The world doesn't need us to pretend to be people other than who we are. The world will prosper through us really embracing what makes us so unique. I want to read this rebellion card and see if it has any particular insights. I high-five my inner rebel and invite them out to wreak some healthy, law-abiding havoc. My inner rebel has a way of turning things inside out and making them way more interesting. We're talking coloring outside the lines. Boom! Modifying a recipe. Bam! Wearing stripes with plaid. Mic drop. I promise I'll buy you a new mic. My inner rebel made me drop it. Is it damaged? It looked nice. So yeah, I feel like you're manifesting a love partner, or if you're currently in a relationship, maybe you're bringing that relationship up to the next level where this person can appreciate your little quirks and eccentricities, the things that make you different and rebellious and, quote unquote weird. You're going to find someone who really fully appreciates that. And you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to dim your light anymore. So let's see what else we've got for you guys. All right, number 1, people. In our next little grouping here, there's a lot going on here. It's a continual message for you guys, really, about kind of being true to yourself. And the Hearing Truth card from I think it's called the Earth Warriors deck. Whoops. It's about really listening with your soul, like listening and knowing what's true to you instead of allowing yourself to let other people tell you what's true. And, there are a lot of opinions, a lot of people saying certain things are true right now related to the coronavirus. And, so it might be in regard to that, but I think also just more generally, you're really, for whatever reason, this pandemic experience is really asking you, get in touch with your soul and your knowledge and understanding of the truth. With the mountain goddess, it's also about, using that higher mind to really connect to your higher self, your spirit guides, angels, or whatever, but like connect your mind and your heart as well to this sort of higher consciousness. And so if that's not something that you really know how to do, you might initially practice through, meditation to calm your mind, and also automatic writing, which is kind of like journaling, but you're asking a question. Let's say, maybe you want to work with Archangel Michael or Archangel Gabriel, or whoever. Gabriel is a nice one because Gabriel has to do with communication, and if you're trying to learn how to communicate, Gabriel can help you with that. Communicating with your guides, communicating in a multi-dimensional kind of a way. But also, a lot of people like to work with Archangel Michael, and they find a great comfort in him. And so that might be something you want to do, is automatic writing, where you just ask a question, and then you just kind of relax and write and just let whatever it is come out. Now, are you going to be perfect right off the bat? Is anyone perfect at anything ever? No, but you get better at something through practice. And it seems like this is a really tremendous opportunity for you to focus on this. And if this has been something that has been calling to you, that you want to be someone who can communicate with guides or departed loved ones, or any kind of divine helper in the astral realms, then this is definitely an encouragement for you to do so. With the Too Many Dragons card, I feel like, you maybe you're letting other people's opinions about things influence you a bit too much, or you might get a little bit too scattered. There's, when I looked at the book on this, it's from the Fairy Wisdom Oracle, which is a really cute deck. It talks about as well, like maybe taking on too many responsibilities. And I feel like one of your spiritual lessons right now is, how do you prioritize yourself? Yeah, there are things that need to get done. Maybe there are people you're trying to keep happy for whatever reason, which is a nice thing to do, but like, you have to take care of yourself. And part of this is about attending to mind, body, and spirit. And I think in this particular way, maybe for you it's prayer, but there needs to be a way of connecting to those, that higher consciousness in whatever form you want to approach it. We also have Chiron, Jupiter, and solar eclipse revolution. I feel like there's going to be a really big breakthrough from you, either around the time of the next solar eclipse, and I'm sorry, but I don't know exactly when that is. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of healing, that it's like a waterfall, a watershed, maybe you would say, even of healing, like an abundance of healing that comes in so suddenly. It is very revolutionary. I see the lightning here, and then the solar eclipse revolutionary. These are wounds that you've been trying to heal for a long time. And, you've probably, with Chiron is the wounded healer. And so because of his wound that wouldn't heal, he ended up learning all these different healing modalities in the process. You might finally strike upon a healing modality that finally works better for you. It could be something like that, or it could just be like a very tremendous karmic release. And we already saw that there's some sort of karmic release which seems to be happening as it relates to past life, approaches to your love life, where maybe you were accepting people who didn't really accept you fully. And you don't deserve, that's not what you deserve. You deserve much more than that. So yeah, that's what I see. And let's wrap it up and see what else we can learn about you guys who chose number 1 in terms of silver linings and spiritual lessons. All right. So first we have the angel gate, which just confirms to me that yes, you are meant to be connected to the higher realms, in particular the angelic realm. If there are angels that you like to work with, those angels really want you to work with them. They are helping you to go through a cleansing and purification process to bring greater blessings into your life. Definitely helping you to clear away karma right now, and they want you to ask for support when you need it. They want to be more connected with you. A very strong encouragement that this is the time to do that. It's the time to speak your mind to your angels and your guides. Much of your karma is being cleared. Rejoice and believe you are deserving of this divine grace. And then I'd put on here, I forgot about this, 444 angelic protection all around. Wow, you've got so much angelic energy around you right now. Then we also have imagine you are a prism. All you need to do is line yourself up with a beam of light and you will be a lantern to the world. So I think this is why the angels want to connect with you, because they want to help you to line up with that beam of light, you know, so that you can be that prism. And I also feel like with the Ace of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles, they don't want you to lose sight of worldly concerns. Don't think that you just have to be focused on spirit. When we talk about mind, body, and spirit, body is the material world. It isn't just our human body, but it's, the day-to-day, going to work, having a career, making money, bringing home the bacon, or the tempeh bacon, or whatever you might have. It's like, don't lose sight of that as well, because both are very necessary. We're bringing right now in the ascension process, what we're doing is bringing heaven into earth. So they're saying don't forsake the material, but continue to do this. And if you're aligned with that light, then whatever you do, whatever your life's work is, it will really feel so purposeful and so meaningful, because you'll feel that. If you've ever felt aligned like this in the way that a prism does, that feeling, it's almost like channeling your existence. You just feel like you're almost just the vessel for wonderful things to be brought into the world. I mean, you're more than just a vessel, because you're also, just like the prism, the light comes through the prism, it's influenced by the prism. And likewise, you are a very unique channel or vessel for the light of love to enter through and to shine. And you make that love visible in ways that nobody else could. You have particular skills and talents that need to be put to use. And your angels want to help you with that. Any karma that's held you back from having a purposeful life, from feeling like you have your financial needs met, that's going to be supported as well at this time. And then finally, I have a yoga posture from my yoga deck that you might want to use. There is an affirmation on the back. This is half locust. My approach to life is calm, confident, and focused. Yeah, so if you can kind of see what he's doing here. He's lying on his stomach, his head is elevated, and then he's like moving his legs up and down. Lie face down, chin on floor, arms alongside your body, palms down. Let me see if you all can see this better. There you go. You can pause and read it if you want. So yeah, sometimes just one, when we think about doing yoga, it doesn't have to be like an hour-long workout. Sometimes just getting into one particular posture, or I think there's a technical word for that posture, can really give us the release that we needed. A couple years ago, my guides encouraged me to get into bow pose before sending someone a particular message of importance where I really wanted to express myself. And I think it did allow me to sort of shift or understand how I wanted to express myself better. So there may be a reason why this particular pose is coming up for you all. I do think that you're being asked to be, calm, confident, and focused. Don't give up on your quote unquote worldly dreams and ambitions right now. Just because the world is in flux doesn't mean you don't have to, that doesn't mean that you should be giving up on your goals. And so if you need a little bit of focus here, This might be to get you back on track so that you're not so overwhelmed with what's going on and feeling like, oh, what's the point? Because who knows what's going to happen. You know, maybe this pose can help to get you back into that alignment, you know, so that you're like the prism again, so that you can fulfill these worldly expectations. Because like I said, you have talents and skills for a reason, you know, and they need to be put to use here on earth so that you can make this a more beautiful angelic place for all of us. All right, so guys who chose reading number 1, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. All right, welcome to everybody who chose reading number 2, which was the Kunzite, and it says, open up your love channel. All right, so let's see here. So I've got lots of cards to go through here, but we're going to just do groupings at a time and get a message from each group of cards. Now, what I feel like is going on here is that when you feel uncertain about what you want to do with your life, how you want to proceed in life, anything like that, when you feel sort of a darkness, a cloudiness of the unknown, or just any sort of fear, you want to be reminded that truly there is only light. Okay? And so allow those moments of darkness, of maybe sadness or fear, to make you more curious. You know, approach everything with newness. Try to see, you know, this reading is about finding the meanings in things, and you know, there is gold, there's treasure in whatever fears or darkness you might be experiencing right now. So I feel like you're asked to find out what that gold is. I think for a lot of you, it's about kind of figuring out, what do I want to do with my life? What do I want to make of my life? What do I want to contribute to the world? Because we have the 3 of Wands and the Page of Wands, which are both cards about like really getting out there and making something happen. But you're asked to create space for that. You have to create space through clearing, partly through clearing that darkness, through clearing out those cobwebs of, you know, any procrastination, any fear that's been holding you back. You know, so get curious about what you could do, about how you could find your brightest light even in those darkest moments. And here with the Earth Magic card, you know, you might literally want to be creating some sort of, you know, create space. You might want to literally create a sacred space of some kind where you can really connect to your soul and understand more, what is it that my soul is really wanting to contribute to the world, so that you can go ahead and do that. So I think that your spiritual lesson here is to find the opportunity, even in the darkest moments. Find that opportunity that you have to shine and make the world a better place. All right, so to continue on for you number 2 folks, I've got a new set of cards out here, and we have receive and then also blessings of Kumu. No good thing shall be withheld. Be open to receiving goodness. Believe you are worthy of abundance. A gift is coming to you soon. Both of these cards are about blessings just raining onto you, and everything is going to be provided for you that you need in order to manifest. Because I feel like you guys are people who really want to make something happen. You want to do something, but you might feel like you don't have the resources or the opportunities that you need. I also feel like, and that is going to be provided, including the wisdom, and with the celebration card, you're going to be able to achieve something really wonderful, and you'll be given those opportunities to do so. And I know right now with the coronavirus, it feels like a lot of opportunities have been sort of shut down. But no, again, you know, when you're in those dark moments, be curious, like, what can I do? If a certain opportunity is blocked, you know, something that would involve getting together with people, especially in large groups, you know, like, maybe there's another way to approach it, or there's some other aspect of what you're wanting to create or do that you can work on right now. You know, so if you were a musician, for example, maybe you're not going to be giving live concerts, but you could work on writing songs, for example. So whatever it is that you do, you can take advantage of this moment, and everything that you need to really progress and move forward right now will be provided. Now with the bad dragon card, and also this Five of Pentacles and Knight of Swords, I feel like you guys feel like you've done something wrong, or that you don't deserve blessings. You don't, almost like you don't deserve to have the opportunity to succeed. But that is silly. You know, one of the things that my guides have told me is that in a lot of cases, karma can be released simply by releasing it. That's all. Not in every case, but in a lot of cases, especially when it's like mostly what it is that you just feel guilt still about something you've done, or you feel fear of punishment, whatever it is, like you can release that. Okay? You have a well of support to draw upon, even in those times when it feels like you don't have enough. You certainly are deserving. There's nothing you have done that would make you not deserving of having the resources you need in order to contribute to the world. That's what you're here to do. Why would that be your punishment? So I think your guides want you to really celebrate yourself more, to honor and respect your own wisdom, and then be willing to receive and know that you are entirely worthy of that. And it is because I feel like the universe, you know, your spiritual helpers, they understand that you're wanting to contribute in some way, and they want to help you make that to make it a reality. All right, and now finally for number 2 people, just to wrap it up, we have the meditation and the leap. And we also have this card that says, this will be a time of tremendous personal growth for you. Embrace your sacral creative energy. So your sacral chakra, which is the orange chakra. Definitely. And we had those wands coming up in the beginning, the page and the 3 of wands. So yeah, which again, it's just fiery creative impulse. And it's sort of like, yeah, you need to think about it. You know, we had that curiosity card at the beginning of the reading. Think about what it is you want to do. Think about how you want to approach going forward right now, given the circumstances you're in. So allow yourself to sort of marinate, allow yourself to do whatever planning is necessary. But don't forget the next step, which is taking that leap of faith. You know, taking that leap of faith and lining up with that beam of light that is meant to shine through you. Look how this beam of light, this came up in number 1 as well, the idea of a prism. The beam of light is shining through her, and it's just sparkling all around her. Yeah, I mean, gosh, like trust and have faith that you're being uplifted right now so that you can fulfill some really wonderful purpose that's going to make people's lives so much better. You're going to bring so much light into the world. We also have thank the water you drink, thank the air that you breathe. Let your physical body and your energy body be, be cleansed with water and deep, full breathing. And this is funny, this is ironic. So practice appreciation. So that's another spiritual lesson, is like appreciating every moment, even those moments that seem dark, you know, looking more fully into those and finding what it is there to appreciate. But from my yoga deck, which includes some meditations as well as yoga postures and also some breathing techniques, we have bellows breath. So talking about deep, full breathing. And this is an interesting one. I will pause, or I'll get it up close so you can pause and read the card if you want. But you're going to stand with your feet apart, and you're going to hold your arms in front of you together. You've probably had time to read that now. Like this. And when you inhale, you're going to open your arms wide. It says, open your mouth and inhale as you... Is that focused? Open your mouth and inhale as you fling your arms open and back, bending the wrists so your fingertips point away from you. Lift your chin. And then exhale completely as you tuck chin and tailbone, round your back, and bend at your waist and knees. Bring hands together in front of your chest. Repeat 12 times. And the affirmation here is, I open myself completely to the fullness of life. You're letting that light in. You're letting that air in. You know, oh man, you're just breathing in life here. So it's like physically, if you can imagine it, you're like opening yourself wide up with the inhale, and then closing yourself back down with the exhale, and just repeating that. So that's a nice synchronicity, because I randomly created these stacks. But yeah, that's a nice breathing technique that you could utilize in times when you're feeling, either that you need to meditate, as we've talked about here, or if you just feel like you need to be a little bit more grounded, or you need to calm yourself down, or, just clear your mind. I included 1 or 2 of these cards. Some people got yoga postures, and you got bellows breath. So it might be something nice to practice right now. We also have the 6th house, Capricorn, and I will. So I feel like this is saying, you've had time to learn a certain skill, or you're going to take the time to learn or become curious and figure out what it is that you want to do, but then you put that to use. You're meant to be of service to people in some way, but you're going to put that to use. It isn't just going to sit there and be a skill that you have, or be a thought, a creative idea that you have, and it's not just going to sit within you and never be put to use. You will be willing to shine your light, like the sun, which is the planetary body that rules the sign of Leo. You're going to shine like the sun. You're going to use your talent and your skills. You're going to use the ability that you have to be of service to other people. You're going to open up your love channel and show people your love through these acts of service, through these acts of creation that you're bringing into the world. All right, so for everyone who chose reading number 2, I hope that was helpful for you and you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Welcome to everybody who chose reading number 3, which was the turquoise, which says, speak your truth. And it says, when to use it: when you feel disconnected from the things that make you human. When you've got something to express, get it out with turquoise. All right, so I really feel like you guys, with this Enlightenment card, 8 of Swords and Queen of Wands, we also have Fire Magic, Permission. I'm going to read all of that. That's a good message. And then Magic. We have more cards as well. We're just going to kind of do them in groups and see what each group has to say to us. But I feel like you all are really waking up. You are becoming enlightened, but what are you becoming enlightened about most is your own magic, your own fire, your own worth, with 8 of Swords. Like, I feel like you're seeing yourself more clearly. Something about this experience is helping you to understand yourself, and you're not, we're in these times when there are these limitations placed on us, but I feel like you're able to look past the illusion of limitation, or the illusion of not being worthy, the illusion that you don't have something really significant and special to offer the world. You're really understanding the full truth of who you are and the full beauty of who you are. Like I said, with Fire Magic and this Magic card, you're understanding your magic. Like, I have power. I can create the life that I want. And we also have this Permission card. I give myself permission to live my best, biggest, dreamiest dream life. I deserve to make money doing what I love. Yes, the Queen of Wands can be an entrepreneur for certain. She's got that spirit. She knows. But it doesn't matter if you want to be an entrepreneur or not. If everyone in the world were doing what gave them the most joy, you might think, oh, well, wouldn't there be some jobs that wouldn't get done? No, absolutely not. And that's the world that we're going into, which is something that this pandemic is helping in a strange way to bring us to, is this idea that we don't have to be subservient to some sort of system of power and control, or economics or government that is greater than us. We can really just draw upon our own strength and our own talents and abilities and create beautiful lives for ourselves and for everyone. I'm able to create without suffering, right? I can be one of those people who lives inside a Pinterest board. I don't know what that means. After all, it'd be a shame to make my best life just sit there unlived, waiting for me to show up. And someone's got to water those upcycled wine crates full of succulents. Now, if you are out there and you know how to make an upcycled wine crate full of succulents, give me a shout out because I would love one. I just recently killed this beautiful cactus that I had in this pot. I watered it too much. It didn't want that much water. And I've had it for a few years, and I had recently killed a jade plant that I just got this past autumn because I wasn't watering it enough, and that made me neurotic about watering my cactus. And I just killed it, so I don't know. But anyway, it's a little bit of a sidetrack, but succulents are beautiful, and you are discovering the magic of who you are, and a big part of that is just you allowing any insecurities or fears about who you are, or what you have to offer, letting those fall to the wayside. So let's see what else is coming to you or coming out of this pandemic for you. All right, so we've got the next grouping of cards for y'all, and we have Magic Frog again. So definitely there is a theme here of you really being in touch with your magic. We'll get back to that more in a moment. But what I also see here are some spiritual lessons that might be coming up for you in particular. I feel like you guys maybe tend to hold back in life. We have the Four of Pentacles and the Hanged Man. I think you might have a tendency to hold back on expressing your talents and skills because of a lack of belief in yourself. Again, we have no limitations, so there's another synchronicity from the initial layout of cards. You are a celestial being with unlimited potential. There is so much for you to share. But, you know, you have to surrender, which is what the Hanged Man card is all about as well. You surrender your need to control the outcome. Just be with life in this present moment. The world is changing. Gaia is changing, and all of her inhabitants are going through a process of change. We are crossing the threshold, and this card is about moving into a time when this change will be so complete that there's no going back. The world is never going to be the same. None of us are going to be the same, individually or collectively. There's just no way of returning to the way that we have been after this. And you know, I think that your spiritual lesson is, how do you see that not as a limitation, but as an opportunity, you know, because the Four of Pentacles is about holding on, trying to keep things the same. And, but the Hangman is about like letting go, you know, if you've been hanging on, feeling like you're hanging on for dear life, it's the time to let go. It's the time to cross the threshold. This blue star card, it says, follow the light of your inner compass, the blue star. It will lead you to the truth that resides within your soul. So, you know, the Hanged Man card as well as a time of inner seeking. What can you learn about yourself right now? What can you learn about yourself that will lead to you just really expanding your reality more fully than it is, rather than trying to hold on to what you have? You know, and, you know, being conservative with your resource and things like that definitely makes sense in these kinds of times. But don't be conservative with your dreams and your visions for what you want for yourself or for the world. Be willing to cross that threshold. And it isn't just about allowing Mother Earth to go through these changes and just accepting them, although that's definitely a part of surrendering. But it's about understanding, oh, I have the power to create the change. I can create the threshold. I can decide what my life is going to be now and what I'm going to move beyond that I will never have to go back to again. I can make choices right now. And that requires being willing to surrender to the process and let go of the idea that anything is limiting me. And then for this Magic Frog card, I wanted to look up the meaning in the book. This is the Fairy Wisdom Oracle. And it's all about getting in touch with your inner child and like capturing that magical joy of childhood again. So if you happen to be isolated or, quarantined with children, this is a good idea to let those children teach you about being a child again. But whether you are or not, you can tap into that energy. I'll just read the little chant here. I am the child within. The child within is me. Together we can once again begin to live and dream. Yes, don't let go of your dreams. We play beside a wishing well. We run among the reeds. We cast about our eyes to see beyond the troubled seas. No longer do we sit and mope about what could have been, right? Because it's never going to be the same again. Today we reach for stars and shout, for we are on the mend, so be it. And then their suggestion is to have a pillow fight with a friend, which would be pretty fun. I certainly haven't done that in decades, probably. So yeah, let the threshold that you're crossing right now not be a one of sorrow. Let it be one of expansion. And really, I just keep imagining your entire aura just filling out in this beautiful kind of egg-shaped orb around you, and here you are just hovering inside of it, just shining so brightly, allowing yourself to be big, allowing yourself to be seen, allowing your dreams to unfold. Okay, so let's look at your final cards and see what else this pandemic experience is actually bringing into your life, whether it's a silver lining of some kind or a spiritual lesson. All right, so final messages for guys who chose number 3. So first we have this little message I got. It says, everything is breaking down so that it can be put back together better than it was before. And also there's a message here to focus especially on your solar plexus chakra, which is a very childlike chakra. It's the yellow chakra. And, because children, I don't know, to me that it's, connected to the sun, and in tarot, the sun card often depicts a child who's just exuberant and joyful. And, when we're kids, even something as simple as, well, not that the sun is certainly not simple, but it comes to be, as we get older, things like that become boring, and we do lose, touch with our inner child. And, yeah, definitely you are meant to connect back to that sense of playfulness, exuberance, and joy, and realize that anything that's breaking down in your life in particular, because everyone, it's going to affect everyone slightly differently, there are a lot of the same experiences. People are struggling right now, to pay for necessary expenses that they have, and there are so many struggles for so many people at the moment. But understanding that it's a process that you're going through, and what you're going to get to beyond that threshold is going to be the world. The 10th house is going to be so much better than anything you've had before. I feel, so we have the 5th house, which is, it says creativity. This is also the astrological house associated with children, though, and playfulness. And I think that you are, with this air element, communications, there's something that you are meant to do that is perhaps a career. It's something you're meant to bring to the world that requires you to be in touch with your inner child in some way. To be able to communicate maybe that sense of joy or exuberance or playfulness somehow to the world. And maybe that will be a career, maybe it won't. Maybe it'll just be something that you do for fun, because there's a message here as well, it's okay for life to just be fun, That is a-okay. And in fact, it's a very good time for you to get in touch with that. Finally, I want to look at these 2 cards from the Oracle of the Hidden Worlds deck. This one, the Green Man, is about, connecting with nature. The Green Man is symbolic of nature, kind of I don't know how to explain what the Green Man, I guess sort of like a nature god type of person. I don't know. But yeah, I welcome this time of growth and expansion. I reach for the light. So definitely it's a nice time for you, and it may be a challenge for you or a spiritual lesson, however you want to think of it, that there's a way now to be connected with nature, And maybe that's connected from your heart. So depending on your living conditions, maybe it's hard for you to get out into nature. I like to watch a lot of YouTube nature videos, even though, you know, I do have some green space outside my apartment that I can go to and still be, you know, 6 feet away from people and stuff. But if you don't have that, and some people can't also because they're disabled or for whatever reasons, but there are so many really great nature videos on YouTube of like rain falling in forests and, you know, people taking drives through like a deserted country, down a deserted country lane and stuff like that. It's just so soothing. Or just watching a campfire for hours, you know. These are things that I find very soothing and that help me to connect with the serenity and peacefulness and calming, you know, energy of nature. Which again, when we're children, we're so, I mean, maybe not every child. There are some kids who don't like nature, but for the most part, kids are very curious about everything. And when they go outside, there's so much that's interesting to explore. So it might be a nice time for you as well to get in touch with learning about nature, connecting to nature through learning. And this Light Priestess card, oh my God, it connects so much to what's already been said here, especially this card. And I didn't put these cards together, you know, I created the stacks just randomly. So this one says everything is breaking down so that it can be put back together. When I look up this card in the book, that's exactly what it's about. Before you is a temple, a gateway to the realms of light, and it is broken. It is being restored, rebuilt with every moment that you give to your own restoration and well-being. As you do this, likewise, this temple will be restored by the Light Priestess, she who weaves the rays and brings back to us the codes of our origins. All you need to do is focus on the light within and without you. So start having faith, start believing in yourself more. Spend time within the light, the sunlight, more about the sunlight, pouring through your own energetic gateways, the moonlight, healing, cleansing, reassembling every cell. The Light Priestess will ensure you receive the light that will reignite the cosmic fires within you and restore all that seems broken and in disrepair. She builds the temple of the spirit, and as you build yours, the temple she safeguards will be repieced until it once again is the gateway for the people of this earth to understand their place in the cosmos. So I'm not going to read all of this, but I'll read the illumination message, and if you want to read the rest of it as well, you can pause and do that. Starborn one, your temple is not broken. It is being rewoven from the 1,000 lights of the faraway worlds you were once part of. Live this life, but in this moment, remember your origins and the divine path you will take home. So we're all connected cosmically. We are all made of stardust. So finally, I wanted to leave you with some yoga poses. You got 3, so you got an actual, like, you know, you got a little flow that you could go through, starting in mountain pose. My body and mind are grounded in balance. So that's the affirmation that they're giving for this pose from this yoga deck. So you could start out in mountain pose, just feeling grounded into Mother Earth, grounded and connected into nature. And then into cat and dog stretch. It doesn't give an affirmation for this one, but to me it also feels kind of like when I do this one, it kind of feels childlike, and it might even be something that you may have done like in a child, in a PE class when you were a kid. I did, and I had never even heard of yoga when I was a kid growing up in the country in eastern Kentucky. It was not something I ever even encountered, but at that time in my life. But we still did this cat-cow, not knowing that was connected to this thing called yoga. But to me, it feels very childlike. And yeah, it lets you get out of that feeling of restriction as well and limitation. And then finally, bridge pose. I love doing this pose. I am vulnerable. I am strong. I can be vulnerable because I am strong. Yeah, so many people want to avoid being vulnerable because they feel like it makes them weak in some way, you know, if everything's breaking down. But, you know, how can I be strong, but at the same time, I don't want to admit that it bothers me or something like that. But vulnerability requires a great deal of strength. It requires you to be honest, you know, honest about your emotions, your more difficult or your darker emotions. But you become strong through the act of being vulnerable. So that's just a final message for you if you wanted to go through those yoga poses to see if they could sort of connect you. That might sound strange, but to me, like a couple years ago, my guides had me, and I've never been someone who did a lot of yoga, but they wanted me to do bow pose before I sent a certain communication to someone. And I do feel like it allowed me to be more thoughtful before I sent it. I didn't really think much about it until recently. Like, why was it bow pose? I guess something about like being on target, maybe. Yeah, but of course, any yoga or a lot of yoga poses require a balance. That one requires sort of a balance and getting everything lined up. And so I don't know. I mean, when we talk about mind, body, spirit healing, sometimes I think our human brains don't understand how one thing could connect to another thing. It doesn't make sense to us. Like, how could bow pose have anything to do with sending someone a message? You know, what would it have anything to do with that? And yet, with something like yoga, where mind, body, and spirit are naturally connected, at the level of our soul, the connections do make sense. So I'm just going to leave you with that. I mean, that's just for you to decide if you want to go do all of that. But I hope at the very least you've gotten a helpful message out of this reading. And thank you for watching. I'll see you around. Bye. Welcome to everybody who chose reading number 4, which was the Ametrine. And the key phrase there is make your big dreams your big life. And I definitely feel a lot of energy of that here, of you taking action, and also being very connected to your soul and what your soul wants to create. Yeah, and just finding that inspiration to act on achieving your dreams. This card variants from the Secret Language of Light deck. I don't know, I don't normally read a lot of Oracle book meetings during a reading, and usually I try to wait till the end of the reading to do that, but this one is so good, I think I'm going to read it, okay? Today you may not feel like yourself. You and your soul are looking at the same thing, but are seeing it differently. Your emotions and reactions are a combination of your thoughts and your soul's thoughts, and when they don't align, you feel wobbly. Variance is a way of explaining the wobble. When you have the same perspective as your soul, things feel right. They may seem satisfactory and easy. You know, like on this star card, like she's very connected to her soul. Her ego and her soul are aligned. She and her soul are aligned, and so she feels very connected. No limiting beliefs or patterns are triggered, but there is a feeling that all is well. Your soul will never join you in judgment, blame, or hurt, because it is not the truth of you. It is not the perspective of love. How you feel reveals how aligned you are with your soul. So if you're experiencing something that doesn't feel quite right, take a breath and come back to your center. You will begin to feel better, inspired to navigate your inner radar, and ready to receive your soul's transmissions. So yeah, and I think, you know, just being kind to yourself as well, like understanding that there's a lot going on. There's a lot with the 7 of Swords that's going on that maybe you don't understand the reasons for it. You know, why is this happening? You know, like with the 7 of Swords, a lot of times to me it can indicate like esoteric meanings and things like that. I do feel like your guides are trying to connect with you and give you some messages, because we do have crows here who are kind of like multi-dimensional messengers, and can be symbolic of that, and then feathers falling, which can also be signs. So I feel like your guides are trying to give you some particular insight into what it means, and specifically what it means for you. What is this time meaning for you? And so they might be trying to bring it. Well, hopefully they're utilizing this reading that I'm doing to help you bring that through as well. But it also in other ways. They're trying to help you understand how to take action. But also, this no stakes card is about kind of like just chilling out, like there's no reason to feel stressed. There's no reason to feel pressure. I can, just enjoy the lightness that comes with fluttering from joy to joy like a creative butterfly. It is the time to be inspired and to take some sort of action. But your guides are also saying your energy is wobbling right now. It's varying back and forth. Sometimes you feel so strong. Sometimes you feel so confused and maybe terrified in certain moments. And your guides want you to just take the pressure off of yourself right now. There's no pressure. They want you to move towards confidence and move towards taking action with strength and resilience, and understanding that you have what it takes to get through this, and you will get through this. But also sort of I'm getting the message of be kind to yourself in the process, because there are going to be moments when you don't feel this sense of hope and inspiration. That isn't there. Things feel darker and they do feel stressful. Just be gentle and sweet and kind to yourself. Allow the wobble to happen. But it reminds me of, the way that I think of the Wheel of Fortune card sometimes in tarot. It usually pictures a wheel, and sometimes there are people strapped to the outside of it. And when the wheel is turning upward, the person who's strapped to that part of it is on top of the world, right? But the person strapped to the bottom is like, oh no, everything's going downhill. And sometimes it can feel like our entire lives are just up and down and up and down and up and down. It's that variance. And it's hard to sometimes maintain a feeling of stability, or that everything is okay, especially when the world seems to be crumbling all around you, and the sky is falling. But to me, one of the best messages of the Wheel of Fortune card is that if you move towards the center of the wheel, you'll still be moving forward with the movement of the wheel, but you won't be feeling those ups and downs. And I feel like that's kind of what they're trying to get you to understand as well. How do you release some of the extremity of the ups and downs that you're feeling? So let's see if, and part of that is just being kind to yourself, I feel like. But let's see what else the reading uncovers here as far as that goes, or any other messages we get for you. All right. So we have Earth Guide. Your sacred calling upon this planet is to simply love and be loved. And we also have Green Fairy, which is very earth-oriented, and it's about being very connected to nature, anything green, or, any kind of plant or animal life, just nature in general. So I feel like, part of when we talked about those ups and downs and that variance, that wobble that you might be going through between, wow, I feel really good, I feel hopeful, and then, oh my God, I feel terrified, or whatever it is that you happen to be going through between more positive emotions and more difficult emotions. I feel like the message here is to connect with nature, for sure. Connecting with nature is very helpful to you at the moment, so that you will be more at the center of that wheel that we were talking about. I also feel like your heart is opening up more. We have this card that says open your heart. I know I wrote this, but it's been a little while, maybe a day or two. Anyway, it says, you are learning how to experience loving friendships. These bonds will be joyful and harmonious. Open your heart. And so Yeah, I know you're like, whoa, in a time of social distancing, how is my friendship life going to be improving? But it's something related to your heart chakra. And you might be surprised, like if you want to reach out to someone that you don't normally reach out to, you might be surprised at their response. And it might really actually help you to build a bond with them. And even if you are going through difficult emotions, like everybody gets it right now. Like there's never been a time in your life. Like if you're anxious about anything that is even remotely connected to coronavirus, trust me, people get it. Even if they are not feeling that way right at this moment, oh, they get it. If you're worried about money, they get it. If you're worried about getting it, of the virus, or someone else getting it, you're worried about the world economy, whatever you're worried about, like if you think, oh my God, the world is ending, like whatever thought has gone through your mind, like I promise, like people get it. And so this actually can be a really helpful time to become centered through connecting to people through your heart chakra and creating these more loving relationships. And then, of course, meditation always helps to quiet the mind so that and the emotions so that they're not fluctuating so rapidly. So that, of course, people don't like to meditate, but it does seem like a lot of people are meditating more now in isolation than they have. And I think that it's not just good for you individually. Like that has an effect. Like everything that anyone does affects everyone in some way. And so if more people are meditating, then we've got a more chilled out, peaceful world. And that is great. We also have rise up and meet your calling. You are here to do something wonderful and to inspire others to do likewise. And then we have the crown chakra in particular would be a chakra for you to work on. So again, that connection to higher dimensional awareness, it reminds me of, let's see. Yeah, the star card that came up before. So rise up and meet your calling. Like you might feel a little bit fearful sometimes, but with the 6 of Wands and the 3 of Wands, you're going to be successful. If you take action right now towards your goals, you will be successful. So it's a good time to put aside those fears, any sort of fears that you have about anything. This is another part of this, I think, that we're all learning is how to work through fear, how to address that, because it's just part of this experience right now. It's bringing up a lot of fears in people. And then this low stand in the light card is specifically about addressing that fear of other people being jealous of you if you succeed, which is very true. Like before I started this channel, I'd never had any kind of real public success or any kind of notoriety of any kind. And yeah, it's like people's reactions to it have been surprising in moments. Like I feel like I've worked past that, and once you get used to something, you don't put as much attention on it, and so you don't notice it as much. But it's true, it happens. Like that happens. Or if it says here, don't avoid the spotlight or try to hide yourself, nor dull your light to appease another or your own fears. Your true inner divine light and beauty is meant to help others, and the only way that can occur is if you allow yourself to fully be and express it. Don't shrink away from your magnificence when you feel challenged. Instead, step it up to an entirely new level of boldness. Yeah, so definitely, maybe you're feeling like certain opportunities aren't available to you right now because of what we're all going through, but this is a challenge. It's a spiritual lesson that you're meant to learn right now. How can you heed the call? How can you work past any sort of fears that you've been having in order to do that? Because you have something to offer. Multiple confirmations of that you need to offer. The world needs it from you. And so, I don't know. I don't want to put any pressure on you like in those initial cards. I don't want you to feel stressed out, but at the same time, it is your obligation. You've been given talents and skills. You've been given creativity. You can come up with these wonderful ideas. You've been given this heart that wants to be connected to other people and do something meaningful that, brings light and love to other people, whatever it is, that's what we're all here to do in some shape, form, or fashion. So why would you not embrace that? Let's see what other messages we have for you guys. Okay. I definitely just keep getting confirmations that you all are meant to really be doing something. I mean, we started out with make your big dreams your big life. You need to do that. This spirit of spring, it says, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but when I grow and act, I free not only myself, but all around me are freed in return. So this talks about the spirit of spring and the renewal that comes. And it isn't just, one little plant that blooms in spring, right? It's like, one plant blooms and then everything else starts blooming, and you can be someone who leads the way. And I'm not trying to be silly and say that a flower only blooms if it sees another flower. It's more of like poetic way of thinking about it. But you inspire other people when you go after those big dreams. And it comes from, with this Venus card, it comes from a place of love. And, what you're going through right now, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. You're going to have to reinvent yourself in some way in order to become this mountain light, this light being yourself, someone who is sort of like a beacon to other people of what they could accomplish, what they could do in a loving way for the world around them. And this one kind of like just brings it home as well. It says, light workers assist in keeping open the pathways for light beings to help heal this planet. Keep the living light inside you alive. So when you're connected to your light worker mission, whether you realize it or not, you don't have to be someone who knows how to talk to spirit guides or anything like that. But when you are on your path, fulfilling your purpose as a light worker, as someone who's making this world more loving, a better place, then energetically, you are allowing these angelic and other divine helpers to come more fully into the earth realm to provide us all with the assistance that we need. Like, this is a big effort. The ascension process that we're all going through in the pandemic is, helping to bring that about in a strange way. And, because it's bringing us back to our heart. It's bringing us back to compassion and love. And we're willing to make sacrifices because we love people now, aren't we? We're really willing to reinvent the wheel because maybe the wheel doesn't work in these circumstances. Again, I'm using wheel as a metaphor there, but yeah, like you shift the energetic frequency when you're aligned with your purpose as a light worker. You shift the energetic frequencies in the earth and allow these multidimensional beings to have more access. So you doing your part of it allows them to do their part of it. Does that make sense? It's kind of like how, we each are doing our part, whether, if you're not someone who is a healthcare worker, we're doing our part at home to support those healthcare workers so they're not as burdened, for example, right? And it's kind of the same thing when it comes to like, these ascended masters and spirit guides and, star beings and angels who are trying to help us right now. There's so much support right now for this process that we're going through here on Earth. And you make that possible simply by fulfilling your own role that is meant to help you connect with your own sense of joy more. And then finally, I pulled a yoga posture card. The affirmation for this one, reclining spinal twist, it is, I am centered, I am relaxed, I am at peace. Yeah, and from the beginning of this reading, there was this feeling of, you not being centered. And so this could be a movement that you could do, reclining spinal twist. Of course, you do that on both sides. Twist yourself like that. You can probably look up a YouTube video for that if you need a better visual on how to get into the posture. But that could be a way of, because when we talk about mind, body, and spirit being connected, yoga is a great example of how that works. So you're moving your body, you're getting your body into a particular position, and it shifts also your mind and your spirit towards becoming more centered. So this could be a posture that you want to try to utilize. Something that I'm trying to do yoga more myself. If you watched all of the intro, you heard me say that I'm trying to do yoga more, which is not true, but I mean, that would be a way to pass the time in isolation as well. Anyway, I guess I wouldn't be in isolation though if Yoda was there. But what I'm trying to say is doing yoga doesn't have to be so time intensive. It doesn't mean having to go to like a 1 hour hot yoga class where you're drenched with sweat when you leave. And right now you can't go to one of those classes anyway. Unless you happen to be really wealthy and own a hot yoga studio at home or something. But, it can just be doing one posture, it's a way to connect mind, body, and spirit. And in particular, this one could help maybe to feel more centered. So again, we can address those ups and downs, because you don't want to be dealing and stressed out with the ups and downs. You just want to be going forward with your purpose and fulfilling whatever it is that you are meant to fulfill, which it seems to be very important, because we keep getting confirmations of that. All right, so I hope that this reading has been helpful in some way. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Hi, everybody. Welcome for everybody who chose reading number 5, which was the Sunstone, and it says, take back your shine. When to use it: whenever it's time to get busy, or when your disposition needs a little sunnying up. For you guys, I think it might be more the latter, that you're needing to be reminded maybe that everything is okay. So we start out with this transformation card from the Secret Language of Light, and the heading on it is, suffering is optional. You are experiencing an ending. You are feeling a loss as a hole or a void in your life. But a new way will reveal itself very soon. Pain is something that happens to all of us, but suffering is a choice. So, you might be like this woman here. So I feel like, with these cards, the 5 of Pentacles followed by the Wheel of Fortune, a lot of you in particular might be very worried about money right now. And that might be on your mind a lot and causing you to suffer mentally and emotionally, because you're scared that you won't be able to make it through this crisis financially. And you're being reminded again, we're starting at the 5 of Pentacles. She has this key here. She can unlock the door if she wants, but she's too busy being in that lack mentality. What this is telling me is that if you can trust and have faith and kind of understand this, that this is a transformation you're going through, that we're just part of the way into it. You're not to the other side of the transformation yet, but when you get there, you'll realize a new kind of abundance that you've never experienced before. And a lot of it is going to be through understanding people care about each other. Affirmations for healing the heart. Like, she looks really sad too, and he's so happy to comfort her and bring her warmth. I feel like that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing people wanting to alleviate the suffering of other people. How refreshing is that? People wanting to alleviate other people's suffering. I'm not saying that we've never seen that before, but it's so nice to see it in such abundance, and I feel like, we're also learning a different approach to abundance. One that is kinder to the very source of all of our earthly abundance, and that is Mother Earth. Everything, every abundance that we have here on earth comes from her. Physical abundance, it all comes from her. She supports us as well spiritually. When I think about Mother Earth and all that she does for us, she provides not only for our basic needs, but she gives us so much just sheer beauty. We don't have to have beauty to survive. We don't have to have beautiful flowers in order to physically survive. But she's like, I'm going to give you your bread and your roses too, and I feel like we are collectively moving into maybe an approach to how we handle resources and how we handle abundance that is kinder to Mother Earth, and that also helps us to understand what true abundance is, and that it's not something that we can ever actually lose. I feel like in particular, like I said, you guys are learning greater abundance through learning how other people are willing to be there for you and for others. And it's a growth process for you, you know. And you're reading number 5, we're definitely starting out with a spiritual lesson. You know, the silver lining is that abundance is coming. And it's not just going to be in some kind of, you know, if you live in the U.S. and you're waiting for your stimulus check to come, it's not going to be that. It's going to be so much more than that. We're not talking about a little stimulus check. You know, like, we're talking about like just really experiencing life in a totally different way as it relates to abundance. And, you know, feeling like this woman does, like on top of the world, like I understand now what abundance really is. And it's going to be a growth process. I think it's a process that we're all learning. We have to learn how to approach abundance differently. You know, we can't continue to survive here on planet Earth, and she can't take it. You know, there's only so much that she can take from us not approaching abundance in a more heart-centered way than what we have been. So you're going to be seeing very positive changes in your life come out of this, but you have to, like the caterpillar that goes into the cocoon and it feels like it's dying, that's its moment of transformation. Oh my God, it hurts, you know? But what's going to happen eventually is that caterpillar is going to be transformed, and it's going to emerge from that cocoon as the butterfly. So be gentle with yourself, you know, be gentle with yourself as you're learning about abundance, and as you're growing into more of an abundance mentality and a trust and a faith and people loving each other enough to not let them suffer wherever possible. And then let's see what this card is saying. We have awesomeness. I am capital A awesome, and I refuse to pay attention to anything that makes me feel otherwise. Instead, I congratulate myself for every victory, accomplishment, teeny tiny step in the right direction, because even the smallest positive action, like reading an affirmation, is evidence that I care about keeping my sweet creative juju juiced up. And isn't that just the awesomest? So yeah, I think it's a reminder, like, give yourself a pat on the back every time you make it through those fears. Every time you start to understand abundance more fully. And I don't know if I can explain it to you. I feel like I've come to this understanding of abundance more fully than I have in the past. And just understanding that there's always enough. And I grew up in poverty. I've lived a lot of my adult life in what would be considered poverty. And sometimes it felt like poverty, and sometimes it felt like abundance, because abundance is really a mindset more than anything else. But you're going to have to learn this lesson for yourself. It does say here to seek out a mentor or a guide. So you might want to look to other people to understand this better. Maybe people who seem like they're already in an abundance mentality more. I also feel like it could mean it would be good for you to reach out for emotional support and not be afraid to do that. This is a time when people want to be helpful, okay? So don't belittle yourself. Don't think that you're not worthy of that. But also, like, you know, be willing to take baby steps and be kind to yourself and celebrate your successes along the way of learning more about what abundance truly is. All right, so I've got your next set of cards, and then we'll have another set after this for, again, this is still for you guys in number 5. So what are the silver linings and or spiritual lessons? Well, first we have inner worlds, and then home sweet home. Your external world is a reflection of your inner world. And so in this case, I think they're talking about your home. You know, this is an opportunity to maybe do some work on making your home more comfortable to you. Maybe decorating your home or your bedroom. You know, just decorating your personal space, because obviously most of us are kind of spending most of our day at home right now. Some of us entirely at home if you're not in an essential job function or something like that. So this is a time to really make that space, the space that reflects, when you think about who you want to be, because that is who you are. It just hasn't been fully expressed. Look around your space at home. Does it really show the world who you want to be? And this isn't about, well, I'm not talking about trying to make your home look the way you think other people want it to look. That is the opposite of what I'm saying. I'm saying that your home needs to be a true, authentic reflection of you. And that will make you feel so much better. It'll allow you to discover greater inner peace and make you feel more kind. I also feel that you guys are really learning a lot about integrity. This L has Divine Might Foretold card. It's about acting with integrity and why that's important. And in the guidebook, it talks about, sometimes we look at people who are not acting with integrity and it seems like they're just succeeding anyway. And it says, you might think that those people are just going to get away with that, but the spiritual world doesn't miss anything. And I'm not saying that people deserve to be punished or whatever, but, justice is justice. Karma is karma. And, when there definitely are people who are thriving, and it seems like, they're doing it at the expense of other people, sometimes like in really big ways, and just having bucket loads of money, but not really contributing that much back to the world that is supporting them to have that wealth, and maybe that's something that bothers you. You're being asked to stay strong and to let go of that, because it seems like that, maybe you might be a little bit too focused on handing down justice or making sure justice is served. So that's fine, because that is definitely a role that people need to fulfill in the world. But at the same time, the Two of Swords is about finding inner peace, not being so torn up about the lack of integrity that we see in the world. Ultimately, we can only choose integrity for ourselves. We make our own choices about how we behave, and you can respect yourself and other people enough to choose to act with integrity. And just, I think, to discover inner peace in the process. I wrote loving kindness meditation on here. If you do a YouTube search for loving kindness meditation, you might want to do that. It's just a way of kind of like extending love towards yourself, extending love towards other people, and then extending love out to the world as a whole. And we also have connect to source through meditation, mindfulness, and or quiet contemplation. Quiet the mind to strengthen it. Yeah, and I think also to stay peaceful and to stay, hopeful and positive, and not get too distracted by, what corporations are doing or what government officials are doing that you don't like. I think it's about just finding that quiet space, using this time to really create not only a physical sanctuary for yourself, but also a mental sanctuary. Because, we all know that there are people who are lacking integrity, and some people are doing some really majorly effed up things in the world. But you dwelling on that isn't bringing about that justice. Those people will be dealt with, and to some extent, we might think that those people, from the level of their soul, are just fulfilling a role that has to be fulfilled in order for our collective destiny to unfold in the way that it is meant to. And so, in their human self, you might think wow, that's a real asshole, but maybe what they're doing is you know, they're taking on this role that needs to be performed so that we can all kind of learn from it in a way. But yeah, I think that you guys are going to be finding greater peace with any kind of grievances you have against those who are acting without integrity. Let's see what else your guides want to tell you. All right, so I have your final messages here. We have third house messages, Saturn return, age, and Saturn truth. So lots of Saturn energy. So yeah, you guys might be feeling, like life is kind of a burden right now. There are a lot of responsibilities. You might feel like you're aging through this process. I'm sure some of us will be growing a few more gray hairs than we had before. And I feel like you're learning. You're definitely learning, because Saturn is all about learning those hard lessons. But they don't have to be so difficult, right? Saturn is also the planet associated with karma. So again, there's a repeated message here about kind of trusting karma, that, what's happening here, justice is going to prevail. So we'll say that, of course. And then I think beyond that, I feel like your guides just really want you to understand that this can be a time for you of like rediscovering yourself, rediscovering who you are and who you want to grow old to be, or grow older to be. Like, who do you want to become as you age? It's a good time to think about that. And, they say the 5 people you surround yourself with most, and we don't, right now, we don't mean necessarily physically. It could be whoever you're talking with online or on the phone or whatever. But whoever you spend the most of your time with, those people are kind of like the sum total of who you are as a person. And so the dolphin collar is about joyful friendships. There could be something here with you guys about learning who you want to associate with, who you want to have that sense of joy with. Do you want life to always feel like a burden? Do you want it to always feel like, well, we're just here to figure out who needs to be punished and to deliver that punishment to them, or hold people accountable? Like, there's definitely nothing wrong with holding people accountable, but like, if you focus on that so much that you lose sight of joy, I feel like your guides are saying that could be a bit of a mistake. So I think you're being asked, the Isle of Wonders, Revelations, teaching, discovery. You're supposed to discover joy, joyful connections more, and move beyond. Yeah, it's a burden. It's difficult. There's a lot of difficulty that goes along with any kind of significant growth that we experience. But if life was just always easy peasy, we would still be at the same development that we were at when we were a baby, right? Like nothing would ever be required of us. So get back in touch with joyfulness. Make sure that you are connected with people who are giving you that sense of joyful friendship, not burdensome friendship. I think also, there's a message here that you don't have to communicate with anyone that you don't want to. So if someone, is making you feel obligated, like, it's okay. And I also actually feel like for you guys, you might need to spend more time alone. I know we're kind of forced to do that, but it might be like, if you live with a lot of other people, find some sort of sacred, isolated space within your home and just enjoy that. If you live alone, then just make use of this time, make use of it, of the time that you're spending alone, not communicating with other people. And then make sure that when you are interacting with other people, these are joyful, uplifting, loving connections. And finally, I wanted to leave you with some yoga poses from this yoga deck, because I firmly believe in mind, body, spirit healing. And I think that, getting into a certain yoga posture really can shift us mentally and spiritually, as well as benefiting us physically. So the ones that were randomly came out of the deck for you guys are 2 floor floor postures, and they're both on your back. So it would be easy to go from one to the other. The first one is called Spider. And the affirmation here is, I acknowledge my ability to regenerate. Yeah, you are regenerating. You are creating your destiny. You are building your web, the web of life. We're all connected. Everything is connected. And abundance is the truth, right? So connect with that mentality through this posture, which is called Spider. You could probably do a YouTube search if you wanted to see a video of someone doing that, if it made more sense to you. And then we have Fish. I inhale life's positive energy and exhale negativity. Yes. So anything that's bringing you down, and I think for you guys, you might be a little more, concerned with people who are lacking integrity right now, but that's I think it's good to be aware of things like that and to take action against that where you can and where it's appropriate. But again, if it's occupying your mind to the point of causing emotional detriment to you, you need to release that and inhale life's positive energy. Experience positive, uplifting connections with other people. Let go of that negativity of what these other people are doing who are not acting with integrity. Just let that go. All right. And maybe this fish pose would help you to do that more. All right, folks who chose reading number 5, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody who chose reading number 6, which was the Serpentine. And the phrase for that is, awaken your reptilian nature. And you're like, reptilian nature? I don't want to be awakened to that. But I feel like, we have a kind of a big spread to start off with, and we're going to look at some other card groupings after this to get a message from each group of cards. This is something that my guides reminded me of recently. They said, we're spiritual people, right? And that's important, but just because this is going on doesn't mean that you have to give up any kind of like worldly aspirations that you have. And we have the King of Pentacles here from this deck, the Emperor here from this. This is the Tarot of the Little Prince, and this is the Light Seers Tarot. Sometimes we feel, like on this 7 of Wands, we don't want to think that we are reptilian or any way, that we're worldly people, or that, we care too much about money or worldly success and stuff like that. When we're like, oh no, I'm turning away. I'm just meditating. I'm in touch with my spirit guides. I'm so spiritual, right? And you are that. But it's also saying, like, what is your inner voice? What is your inner voice nudging you to do with your life? Because it feels like maybe you're pushing it away. You're definitely confused. I feel like the way this guy is clutching his head, like the signs have been coming to you for a long time. Your guides have been very patient with you, in fact, because sorry, my phone cut off recording and I had to clear some space on it. So I was just saying, like, I feel like you've been sort of confused about how to move forward in your life. And I hope I'm not repeating myself here, but, there's a desire, I feel like, to do something. And I feel like you want some sort of worldly success, but at the same time, you're like, well, but I should be like this spiritual person, right? Who's just focused on attaining, nirvana or something, or like just focusing on meditating and, talking to my spirit guides and all of that stuff. And it could be like maybe some of you are like just a little bit scared of being a quote-unquote worldly person, but you deserve to have goals and aspirations just like anyone else. We don't incarnate into the earth plane so that we can just totally avoid earth-like existence. We come into the earth plane so that we can embrace the many lessons and experiences. And that includes, like, how do I earn money for myself? How do I create a solid financial stability for myself? And some of you, again, I'm sorry if I'm repeating this, if it's something that I said, because I kept going when the camera initially cut off, so I don't know how much I said, but some of you might feel like the world is changing in such a way that it also changes your trajectory, and so you're just not really sure what direction to go in anymore. Like, what am I supposed to do with my life? And it's one of the things that my guides told me recently is that you deserve to have these worldly sorts of fulfillments as well as spiritual fulfillment. Your life doesn't have to be just spiritual. And I think when we see the world changing so dramatically, maybe that makes some of us feel ashamed of wanting to do anything other than just being quote unquote spiritual or just being there for other people. But the thing is, like, when you can use your talents and skills to create stability for yourself and abundance for yourself and other people, you're showing other people the way to do that. And that's a major life lesson. Again, Earth provides us with certain experiences, such as poverty, such as these things called careers. Like, we don't have those challenges when we're not in the earth plane, right? So it's a unique experience to Earth. So if you deny yourself the challenge of achieving some sort of financial prosperity or career success or all of the above, then you're denying yourself a very important part of your lifetime here on Earth and what you're meant to do with it. So it's okay to be in touch with your reptilian nature a little bit. I also feel like with the moon and the magician, some of you might be just a little bit scared of your own power. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know what else to say there, but maybe just scared of how powerful you could actually be. And that's part of your lesson, is like, pay attention to those inner urgings, that inner voice. And we can get all kinds of fears in our heads. Oh, I'm being too materialistic. I'm going to be too powerful, or maybe I'll have too much of an influence, with the magician. I feel like in both of these cards, they have this energy extending from their hand. Hers is extending to the moon, and his is extending down into this whirlpool that he's creating with magic. You have so much to offer that's actually going to be healing to the world. If you don't offer it, the healing doesn't get to be experienced by others. So you could just isolate yourself even more fully than what you're being required to and just be a spiritual person, But I feel like your guides are saying you'd be losing out on a lot of the earth experience if you do that. Let's see what else your guides have to tell you. All right, my number 6 people. There are some very interesting messages here for you guys. I'm going to start with this card, the Human Myth, and this is from the Fairy Wisdom Oracle, even though there's not a fairy on this particular card. And I'm telling you that because I feel like part of the message here, it's pertinent, because this card as well is about the paradox of what our mind is willing to accept. And sometimes we need to be more willing to accept the impossible. So the reason I had put this particular deck on my Amazon wish list was because I recently had a fairy experience, and I think I'm going to do a video on that later, but I had a fairy come into my home. My cat was chasing it around, and you might think I'm crazy, and that's okay. But this is, talking about this particular card, it's about this myth that humans are not connected to spirit, or, just we don't feel connected even, because fairies are just earth spirits. They're spirits that are very connected to Mother Earth, and they help to heal and protect Mother Earth, just like a lot of the other earth spirits do, like gnomes, for example, and pixies and things like that. But we have to keep an open mind. There might be other things that happen during the course of this pandemic. I think we're all kind of awakening more to this multi-dimensional experience, which includes these things that are outside of our normal human perception. And I didn't see this fairy. My cat certainly did, and there were some other things that went on around that time that make me feel confirmation that there was a fairy around. But it's good to keep an open mind. Let's see here. This card says, when the mind says no, but the heart leaps with joy, we are ripe for a transmission of empowering grace. The sweet paradox is that the more impossible the situation appears to be, the more we are supported through grace, and our divine success manifests swift and complete. Let the faith of the heart overcome doubt. Allow your mind to be filled with wonder at the unlimited power of the divine, and you shall bear witness to sacred manifestation. So maybe this seems like a little bit of a strange message, but I feel like keeping your mind open to like whimsical things or just supernatural things that you haven't experienced before. A lot of the psychic experiences I've had, I certainly hadn't had before I ever experienced them, and some of them have been very profound, and I'm glad that my mind has been open enough to accept those experiences, because I have really grown through those experiences. It's really opened up my experience of life so much more fully. And so I feel like you're kind of being asked to do the same. And with this about your head and your heart, when your heart leaps with joy, like, it reminds me of Peter Pan when they have to bring Tinkerbell back to life and all the kids have to clap and say that they believe in fairies. That's kind of the energy that I get here. Like, we like to believe in lighthearted, whimsical things like that. So it's not saying that you have to believe in that sort of thing, but like, you might benefit from keeping an open mind. There may be like a very interesting experience that's either already happened or is going to happen as a result of this pandemic for you. And your guides want you to lean into that and just allow it to send your head spinning and maybe change your life. Maybe you'll have some sort of supernatural experience or see a fairy or something. And you're never going to be the same afterwards. We also get, healing is no longer about covering up the symptoms. Mother Earth can truly heal you instead of just covering up the symptoms. Find your medicine in nature. And so I think that it's interesting that this card came up as well, seasonal harvest, because I was thinking of this in terms of like, finding natural medicines that might treat certain things. Like, for example, turmeric is really good for inflammation. And it's something that I learned last year, and I've been using it since then, and it helps so much. And the funny thing is, it's so like, there are lots of scientific studies that document that turmeric is actually more helpful than a lot of the pharmaceutical medications. And a lot of those medications, they do just cover up the symptoms, and eventually they start actually causing inflammation. So not only do they not really heal you, they also cause more damage in the long run. Turmeric does not do that. I take mine in the form of caplets, because then you get like basically 4 tablespoons worth of turmeric, but in a like concentrated dose. So anyway, but this could be as well about finding your medicine in nature simply by being in nature, maybe even growing your own food, maybe just growing some herbs to start out with. You don't have to like grow an entire garden really if you're not comfortable with it, or you don't have to do that at all, but definitely finding some sort of healing within nature. Also, passion. Do what excites you. Get fired up about your life. Increase your energy levels. And this card says, connect more fully with your soul. There are many undiscovered aspects of yourself that want you to know them. And then I put fire meditation on here. And with this passion card, this is this a unicorn or just a horse? This is from the unicorn deck. I don't see its horn. But anyway, this horse or unicorn made out of fire, you know, like when I put down fire meditation, I was thinking like, I was kind of guided to do that. But, you know, like if you just watched a flame, even like a candle or something, maybe you can't get out and make a bonfire right now. Just put, you know, burning a candle or something and just looking at the flame might be a nice meditation. I've done this before with Palo Santo as well. It takes a while for it to light, and just kind of looking into the fire, breathing in the smoke, which you may or may not want to do if you have respiratory problems or anything. But yeah, so it's like let it burn, or let a candle burn, or if you can create a bonfire or something, like, yeah, just go stare at it and let your mind sort of like fall away and find those undiscovered parts of yourself. Let's see what else your guides want to talk to you about. All right. So we do, just to start off with, we have a little bit of a confirmation of what we started out talking about in the beginning, which was about awakening your reptilian nature, becoming more comfortable with the fact that, hey, you're living on Earth. When in Rome, when on Earth, do as the Earthlings do, which is, you know, money and material security are true aspects of what it means to live here. So we have Earth element stability, and then 12th house escape. The 12th house is also about spirituality. And, you know, like how can we bring these two things together? How can you bring your spirituality in balance with the fact that you do have a drive, I think, to create financial stability for yourself. And that is perfectly wonderful. It's a wonderful drive to have. It's a wonderful aspiration to have. And how do you kind of bring these two desires into greater balance? I think that's one of the challenges that you are going to discover during the course of this pandemic. We have the Temperance card and the 5 of Wands. You definitely feel conflicted about it, though. And if you don't, then this is not your reading, because this has come up. Maybe there are other messages that are for you, but it feels like you feel so conflicted between your spiritual aspirations and your more worldly aspirations. But the Temperance card is all about bringing everything back into balance. And I feel like with the healing temple of the lunar light, you're supposed to heal this tension or conflict within you about feeling like it's wrong to have money or something like that. Excuse me. There was dust in my throat. I'm not sick. Okay. All right. So, and we also have in this Temperance card, we have a well. He's drawing water out of a well. And we also have this Water Spirit card. Emotions, memory, and life force. You're definitely supposed to heal this conflict within you. That I can't be both a spiritual person and a worldly person. Yes, actually you can, and that's what you're meant to do. We're bringing heaven into earth. We have both of them present in our lives. We have the heaven, which is the more spiritual aspect, and we have the earth, which is the worldly aspect. So the more you can bring these two into balance and understand that they can peacefully coexist in your life, the more healed you are going to be. And yeah, I feel like the water as well is talking about how emotionally this is going to be so cleansing with you, and you're going to feel so refreshed. Like after you drink a nice cold glass of water, it's so refreshing. And it's also just what your body needs. You know, your body needs water. And you might be called specifically to drink water or just connect more to water. Interestingly enough, part of what this message is about in the Oracle book is the fact that there is a water spirit within every body of water. So like every lake, every pond or whatever, maybe big ones would have more than one, I would think. But, you know, so going back to believing in fairies or just being open to that kind of thing. I think that was your all's reading, right? I don't know. I'm at the end of this, so it could have been somebody else. I'm pretty sure it was you all, though. Anyway. But yeah, like, you know, if you want to entertain that thought, you could talk to nature, like literally talk to nature and just enjoy the process. Maybe if not anything else, there could be something healing about talking to plants or talking to bodies of water, things like that. I know, you know, to me, trees are very comforting. I am literally a tree hugger because trees are so healing. They can siphon off any kind of negative toxic energy in your energy body, your aura, and then they can take that and drain it off into Mother Earth using their root systems. We can do that for ourselves as well through our foot chakras. Those are like the drainage system of our energy body, but trees are so good at it, and a lot of us have blocked foot chakras. And trees are just so, they're so wise. They have a very wise consciousness, and you can, you know, you can communicate telepathically with trees. I know that sounds weird. You've been exposed to a lot of weird oddball things just in the course of this reading, right? So you've definitely had to keep an open mind. Yes, it was your all's reading. You definitely have to keep an open mind just to get through this reading. But another thing I want to share that this just makes me think of is because water is coming up here twice, in the well and also in this card. And that is, my guides told me that water, and they told me this fairly recently, that water is not just, you know, we think of it symbolically as representing love, like in the Suit of Cups in tarot that represents emotions or love. But my guides were telling me that water is actually the physical form of love. Like if love were to take on a physical form, it would be water. So when you nourish yourself with water and you keep yourself hydrated, that's a way of like literally pouring love into yourself, right? Not only because it's an act of self-care, but I mean, my guides are telling me like it literally is love. And of course there have been, you know, experiments. I can't think of the guy's name, but you've probably heard of this. The guy who spoke to water molecules differently, and the ones who received all of the loving messages formed into these crystalline structures that were very beautiful. And the ones that were given lots of hateful, angry messages formed these very broken, disjointed, crystalline structures. So some people actually do like to imbue their water that they're drinking with prayer or affirmations or just talk lovingly to it. But regardless, if you want to get into all of that, I mean, water is love, according to my guides. You don't have to believe it, but if it's helpful, take it. If not, let it go. And then the final thing that I want to leave you with from my yoga deck, it's a deck that has yoga postures in it, but it also has some meditations and breathing. What's the word? Breathing, types of breathing. I don't know. So this one is alternate nostril breath. The affirmation for it is, I am balanced, calm, and serene. And I think for you guys, what needs to be balanced again is that, you know, the dichotomy between the earthly pursuits and the spiritual pursuits, but maybe balancing in other ways as well. And this breath, this type of breath could be something that helps you to facilitate that balance. So if you wanted to do a YouTube search for alternate nostril breath, you'll definitely find people demonstrating this to you, but I'll also kind of tell you what it is, and maybe you can, if you wanted to pause and read that as well. But you're just going to put your thumb on your right nostril, and you're going to inhale and then close the other nostril so that they're both closed, and hold, and then release the one that your thumb is on, your right nostril. Anyway, you can read here how to do it. So you just cycle through that. Okay, the battery on my phone is about to go out, but I just wanted to throw in a yoga posture or whatever happened to come up from the deck. For you all, it was a type of breath, to see if that would be very helpful for you. This is supposed to be one that is really good for your health and your immune system as well. So, and apparently it balances the energy of the nervous system. All right. So anyway, guys, I hope that you enjoyed that reading, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.